I am so tired of hearing we're going to hold them responsible. I want to know why, after 6 months, we can't put anybody in jail.
It's a great question. Thank you for that question. You are exactly right, and it is infuriating and frustrating. And let me tell you why people haven't gone to jail. Because under our Constitution and the federal government, the only people who can bring a prosecution is the executive branch of the government, and in particular, the United States Department of Justice.
A man whose every expression says, I take fiber supplements, and frankly, they're not working.
I want to talk about May 2024. Looks like we've got one hell of a barn burner coming. Donald Trump is going to be on trial.
That means no member of the legislature can bring an indictment. No member of the legislature can convene a grand jury. No member of the legislature can prosecute a case. Likewise, no member of the court, no judge can say, I'm going to prosecute someone. It is only the executive branch, and it is why it is such a tragic disaster that we have a Biden administration led by Merrick Garland, the most political attorney general in history, who refuses to enforce the law.
Shut up. Now, this is going to come right on the heels of the March trial for 2024 for his other case. But that's for another time.
Men expressing anger and victimization over the loss of absolute power and reframing that as persecution of real America by minorities, freeloaders, and socialists.
Conspiracy to defraud the United States of America. Well, I mean, come on. Obviously.
And it's almost difficult to believe your ears when you hear something that sounds so audaciously corrupt. It's like if Hillary Clinton had sent an email with the subject line, "Sup, I did Benghazi."
Could there be anything more egregious than trying to steal an election?
3 words that I always knew I'd have to say, but I didn't really expect to have to say it quite so soon. Sort of like, remember polar bears? Or female entourage reboot. The boys are back, and this time, they're girls.
It's like Reese's peanut butter cups, peanut butter and chocolate. Maybe we could all get together here and have quite a mashup.
Yeah, I think of it more as like a taco.
Now, the tampering with witnesses deal, that's kind of interesting. But it's not actually a surprise, because that's the one where obstructing an official proceeding falls under. There's a lot of things that fall into that category, actually. But obstructing an official proceeding is damn sure one of them. And hundreds of people have been charged for that very thing. Hundreds have gone to prison for that very thing.
Shut the up about how victimized you and you alone are. Nobody cares!
Deprivation of rights. Now, this one is my personal favorite. Because in this case, what he did was he deprived all of us of our duly elected official to run our country. He attempted to deprive you and me, not just Joe Biden, not just help out Trump. He stole from us. And for this, the motherfucker's gonna burn.
There is so much crazy going on here. So much crazy, I don't even have time to deal.
Now, do I actually believe that it's possible that they'll actually burn him at the stake? No. Do I actually think he'll ever serve any time in jail? No.
Which shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone. Why would this be the end of the line for him? Trump has seemed to reach the end of the line on multiple occasions, only for nothing to happen. Remember when he hesitated to disavow David Duke? Wasn't that supposed to be the end of the line?
It's almost like a sickness that, oh, wait, tragedy happens. Let's see how we can advance our narrative.
Yes. It's a sickness. This rush to use tragedy to advance your narrative.
But at the very least, he's going to end up wearing a damn ankle bracelet and not being allowed to leave Mar-a-Lago.
Or the time he bullied a Gold Star family? That had to be the end of the line, right? Or the Access Hollywood tape. We all thought the next stop on that bus was, you guessed it, the end of the fucking line.
They demand accountability for anger and divisiveness, whilst holding themselves entirely unaccountable for their anger and divisiveness.
And that will prove to everybody, whether they fucking believe it or understand it or not, that this motherfucker is in fact above the law. Because if you did the same thing, just like the hundreds of other people, you would go to jail.
But it seems like when it comes to President Trump, he's always approaching the end of the line, but it never seems to come. As if for him and him alone, the end of the line is drawn by MC fucking Escher.
Donald Trump will never go to jail.
I loved my previous life. This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier. I do miss my old life. I like to work, so that's not a problem. But this is actually more work.
Yes! Of course being president is harder than your old job. Of course it is.
Motherfucker should. He'd spend the rest of his fucking life in jail. But I'll bet you he won't.
Your old job was basically having a name, letting other people pay you to use that name, and firing Dee Snider. It was fucking easy.
And that's because there's a two-tiered justice system in this country.
Although I will say this, I now actually have something in common with Donald Trump because I too preferred my previous life before he became president.
Justice is for sale. And Donald Trump is buying. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
I wrote a book called Shut Up and Sing. This would be Shut Up and Commentate. It's because we're not really interested.
Right, but why do you get to talk? Because if I may, very quickly, no disrespect, I don't much care what you have to say about it. Yet, whenever I turn on the TV, you're there talking about it. That's the subject of my book, Shut Up and Shut Up.